Namaskar friends, welcome to my channel. I'm your host and presenter Pritiman Sarkar. Today, I will be discussing a very important topic about India's global defense strategy vis-a-vis China. And the title of today's video is India's defense strategy to counter China. In this video, I will try to unveil India's counter strategy to stall China's nefarious designs through its string of pearls policy. What is string of pearls policy of China? The phrase string of pearls was coined by United States political researchers in 2004 as a geopolitical hypothesis. Actually, this term has a specific reference to the network of Chinese military and commercial facilities and relationships along its sea lines of communication which extend from Chinese mainland to Port Sudan in the Horn of Africa. If we refer to the world map, you will notice the sea lines run through several major maritime choke points such as the Strait of Maldives, the Strait of Malacca, the Strait of Hormuz, and the Lombok Strait. If we look at it in detail, China has already captured the strategic port location in the region through its debt trap diplomacy. The Dorale multipurpose port in Djibouti, Gwadar and Karachi deep water port in Pakistan, Hambantota and CICT terminal in Sri Lanka, and Kyakpui port in Myanmar have already been completed. Friends, I have mentioned about the Sri Lankan spy ship coming into Sri Lanka and docking at the Hambantota port. In the last 11 days, there has been tremendous development both from the Chinese side and the Indian side. Please go and watch that video. You will get to see what you want to know about that particular aspect of Chinese strategy and India's counterattack. The goal here is to increase its presence of China on the choke point of major maritime trade routes like the Strait of Maldives, Strait of Malacca, Strait of Hormuz and the Lombok Strait, as well as the other strategic maritime centers in Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, the Maldives and Somalia. India's concern. Many Indian defense analysts and political commentators have raised serious concerns about the Chinese string of pearls policy. The analyst observes that together with China-Pakistan Economic Corridor and the other parts of China's Belt and Road Initiative, BRI, is a threat to India's national security. This means such a system would encircle India and threaten its power projection, trade and territorial integrity. China's support for India's traditional enemy and its Gwadar port is viewed as a provocation, compounded by the fears that China may develop an overseas naval military base in Gwadar, which could allow China to conduct expeditionary warfare in the Indian Ocean region. From the east and the deep port of Kyakpui, Myanmar is also viewed with a similar concern. According to the information available in public domain, the first comprehensive academic analysis of Chinese plan and its security implication for New Delhi was undertaken in February 2008 by an active duty Indian naval officer. Antedating China's anti-piracy naval deployment in the Indian Ocean beginning in 2008 and the ensuing acquisition of its first overseas military base in Djibouti in August 2017, his analysis predicting China's permanent military presence in the Indian Ocean is a matter of deep concern. Accordingly, India has since been making moves of various types to counter the perceived threat. What is India's counter strategy? It is called, in quotes, offense is the best form of defense, unquote. India has realized the Chinese nefarious activities, and to counter it, India has begun to fortify its presence in the Indian Ocean region and made strong security ties with various nations in the region. And to be more specific, India's counter strategy measures is in the form of necklace of diamonds, and it has successfully checkmated the Chinese string of pearls. Yes, my dear viewers, India has carefully devised a plan to counter China's sinister designs through its own policy of necklace of diamonds. I will explain to you in more detail as we proceed through this video. So keep watching this video till the end, because I am going to give you many details which you may not be knowing, and it will be interesting and surprising to understand the India's counter attack strategy. What is the necklace of diamonds? Necklace of diamonds strategy is a phrase that was first ever used by the India's Foreign Secretary Mr. Lalit Mansingh while addressing a think tank in August 2011 as to counter China's policy. And accordingly, India has sped up its action to counter the Chinese string of pearls strategy using a multi-pronged approach. This multi-pronged approach is to involve in building ports, extensive coastal surveillance radar systems to track Chinese warship submarines, importing the state-of-art surveillance planes which can track down Chinese submarines operating airport in the neighboring country to keep a check on the port built by China, deepening defense ties, expanding bilateral relationship with South Asian countries, island nations, and in Indian Ocean region, Southeast Asian nations, and carrying out regular military exercises with navies of USA, Japan, and Australia. Some of the important actions that are undertaken by India to counter the Chinese Navy and its influence in the South Asia and Indian Ocean region are, I will be explaining to you one by one and give you brief detail of the places where India has invested and how it will help India strategically counter any threat to Indian security. Strategic overseas bases of India. Tajikistan. Farkhor Air Base is in Tajikistan, near a town of Farkhor, located 130 kilometers southeast of Dushanbe, the capital. It is run jointly by the Indian Air Force and the Tajik Air Force. It is India's first military facility. However, Farkhor is a city where India runs a hospital too. This airbase occupies a unique strategic position because of its placement above Pakistan-occupied Kashmir and Afghanistan. It provides India with a strategic power projection point in Central Asia. Aini Air Force Base, also known as Gisar Air Base, is a military air base in Tajikistan just 10 km west of the capital Dushanbe. The base is jointly operated by the Indian Air Force and the Tajik Air Force. It is also India's first overseas air base, and since 2014, India has deployed the Sukhoi 30 MKI in limited numbers at this base. The base was extensively used by the Air Force as a standby base for its aircraft to evacuate Indian nationals from Kabul airport amidst the Afghan crisis after Taliban takeover took place in 2021. The military base serves as a dual purpose amid the return of the Taliban regime in Afghanistan and the constant threat of Pakistan. Just to make clear for the viewers, Aini base and Farkhor air base are two different air bases in different locations in the country of Tajikistan. Iran. In December 2018, India took over the Chabahar port and its operation. Iran and India inked a 2 billion rail cooperation pact in January 2018. The accord includes a 600 million memorandum of understanding for Iran to acquire locomotives and freight wagons from India. India has served as a primary investor in Chabahar port, as New Delhi sees the port as a way to access Afghan and Central Asian markets without relying on Pakistan's land routes. Furthermore, the port could strengthen the Indo-Iranian ties, which could balance out the growing Sino-Pakistan cooperation. Located on the edge of Indian Ocean, it is only the deep sea port in Iran with direct ocean access. India, as well as its status as a key transit center on the burgeoning international north-south transport corridor, gives it a potential to develop it into one of the most commercial hubs in the region. Chabahar is also one of the few places in Iran that is exempt from US sanctions, which simplifies trade procedures with other countries. India is not only the only superpower that has a stake in Chabahar port, as China has also sought to strengthen ties with Iran to secure energy and mineral resource reserves and gain access to the advantageous Euro-Asian trade routes. India has an extensive history of engagement with Chabahar port, as New Delhi views the port as an opportunity to strengthen India's position as a regional and global power. Oman. The threat in the sea has risen since the Chinese initiated the Belt and Road Initiative. To counter Chinese aggression in the Indian Ocean, India has set up a listening station at Ras Al Had and berthing privileges at Muscat Navy facility. There is also a base for Indian Air Force and the Indian Navy at Dukum. It is important to note that Dukum had previously served as a port for INS Mumbai, India's 3 naval bases and 1 air base in Oman. The country is strategically located and serves as an anchor for Gulf nations and Southern Africa. In 2021, India renewed 2 military pacts with Oman. Seychelles. In 2015, the Prime Minister Narendra Modi in his tour to Seychelles signed an agreement to start a joint military base. This pact will enable a joint project in Assumption Island to build a naval base to counter China. For this, India gave a 100 million line of credit and Dornier aircraft to Seychelles. India also maintains a coastal surveillance radar system in Seychelles. The project is completely financed by India. Madagascar. In 2007, India had established full-fledged radar surveillance and monitoring station in Madagascar to detect shipping movement and listen to all marine conversation in the Indian Ocean. It also helped Madagascar Navy to carry out surveillance in the coastal area of the country. Since Madagascar's military is not strong enough to counter foreign invaders, India stepped in to protect it and its integrity. The Indian naval base there serves a key role in protecting our trade links from pirates and foreign dacoits. This was India's second military base after Tajikistan. Maldives. The Maldives is under protection of Indian Navy, which keeps an eye on the neighboring countries' waterways. The coastal surveillance radar station protects against piracy dangers in the waterways. India will install 10 coastal radar systems in the Maldives. These radars will relay live images, videos, and location information of ships moving in the Indian Ocean region. The project is implemented by Bharat Electronics Limited, BEL. As of 2019, 7 are completed and the project is moving with full speed. Mozambique. India and Mozambique have a strong military relationship. During the African Union Summit in Mozambique in 2003 and the World Economic Forum, the Indian Navy was in charge of the country's maritime security. Mauritius. India is building a military infrastructure on Mauritius's Agalega Island to increase its presence in the Western Indian Ocean. Over the last few years, a 10,000-foot runway and a jetty have been constructed on the island, which is located over 1100 kilometers on the north main island of Mauritius. According to a report by Now, satellite imagery dated 20th April 2022 shows Hangars large enough to house the Indian Navy's P-81 submarine hunting aircraft are under construction next to the newly built runway. This development confirms what maritime security experts have long suspected. India plans to deploy its P-81 long-range surveillance aircraft on the island. China has been rapidly expanding its presence in the Western Indian Ocean. The infrastructure coming up on the Agalega will support India's maritime assets, including the P-81s in the Western Indian Ocean, particularly waters close to the western coast of Africa, an increasingly important region where the Indian Navy's engagement has been relatively limited. Singapore. In Singapore, India had established a naval base in Changi in 2004. The RSS Singapura Changi Naval Base is strategically located and is again India's move to counter China. On November 29, 2017, Singapore inked a naval cooperation agreement with India to counter Chinese expansionism strategy in the Strait of Malacca. The agreement also helped India to establish its military presence in the Chinese trade route. Around 70% of China's trade is done via the Strait of Malacca. Changi Naval Base serves as an Indian naval base in Singapore. Nepal. Nepal has been a positive connection with India, and in exchange, our army protects its security and sovereignty. In Surkhet, the Indian Air Force maintains an airstrip that protects them against aerial threats. India also provides armament, hand-to-hand fighting, and high-altitude warfare training to Nepalese soldiers. Bhutan. Bhutan, the greatest threat to Indian borders comes from China, which has tried to breach into India several times in the last decade. Before the clash in Galwan Valley in Ladakh in 2017, the Indian and the Chinese militaries had locked horns over the Chinese constructing a road in the Doklam area. To counter such misadventures, the Indian Army has a base in Thimphu, Bhutan. The Indian Army's training team, IMTRAT, is located at Hazong in western Bhutan, is responsible for training the personnel of Royal Bhutan Army, RBA, and the Royal Bodyguard of Bhutan, RBG. Apart from the Indian overseas bases, the Indian government in the recent years has implemented its India's Act East policy. This was launched as an effort to integrate India's economy with Southeast Asian nations. It has been used to make important military and strategic agreements with Vietnam, Japan, the Philippines, South Korea, Indonesia, Singapore, and Thailand, helping India to counter China. India is building a deep sea port in Indonesia at a place named Sabang. It has strategic significance as it is close to the Strait of Malacca and India's Andaman and Nicobar Islands. In Myanmar, India has built a deep water port in Sutwi in 2016. To upgrade and train its navy, India has developed a strategic naval relationship with Myanmar, which gives India an increasing deep footprint in the area. India would help Bangladesh modernize the seaport in Mongla. India can also use the Chittagong port in Bangladesh. India has recently signed an agreement with Bangladesh to install 20 coastal surveillance radar systems along the coastline of Bangladesh. This will help India to monitor Chinese warship which has been frequently visiting the Bay of Bengal region. It has also made agreements of military cooperation in the region with Japan, Australia, and the USA. The four countries carry out joint military exercises in the Indian Ocean region and are known as the Quad. Not only that, in Sri Lanka, where China has got some influence, as many as 6 coastal surveillance radars, CSR, have been installed by India. As per some experts and reports, India is planning to set up at least 10 more CSR in Sri Lanka. There are constant ongoing efforts by the government of India and Sri Lanka to solidify the India-Sri Lanka ties. Building ports in collaboration and signing bilateral agreements with country is usually to improve trade, ties with respective countries and open different trade routes for India. It also helps India to counter the Chinese influence in these countries. India and China are engaged in one upmanship battle to maintain the maritime influence in IOR, which is the Indian Ocean region. China may be trying hard to encircle India through its strings of pearls policy with overseas bases that include Bangladesh, Myanmar, Hambantota in Sri Lanka, Djibouti in Africa, and Gwadar port in Pakistan. India is not only keeping a close watch on the Chinese movement via their own bases in Indian Ocean region, but via close relationship with countries in South China Sea. So friends, I have provided you a detailed coverage on India's strategy to counter Chinese policy of aggression. Hope you will like this video. Please do click the like button, drop a comment, ask a question, and please keep liking, keep subscribing, and keep commenting. I will come back with more episodes and with more interesting topic in the future. You take care. Bye bye and Jai Hind.